Good evening, everyone. This is an update on the 64 Impala project. I got everything done on the front end. I got the fender back on and the whole front clip put back together, and was going about doing a brake job. Got the front brakes done, went to go do the rear brakes, and discovered a wheel bearing leak. This is the third time that this has occurred. These are SKF bearings. Um, yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm a millwright by trade. I've used SKF my whole life, and in the automotive industry as well as the mining industry, power sports, whatever. I've used SKF bearings, and this is the third time for this failure to occur. The bearing exhibits no visual damage until you look at the bearing retainer and you'll see grease here. That grease packed up the vent in the backing plate, and it allowed gear oil through, and it filled up the bearing retainer, and it spilled over and onto my brakes. This has happened 3 times. It's getting expensive. These bearings are $250 Canadian a piece. You can see the grease that's puked out of it. This is a sealed bearing. It's completely uh, sealed from the gear oil. Like there's no reason for this. I initially thought it was these little O-rings here, but it's not. They're not leaking at all. There's no indication. They were dry. The housing was dry when I pulled it out until obviously residual oil had got in there, but it was all dry. And I'm at a loss here. I'm getting really frustrated. I'm into the thousands of dollars here because the car sits and things go out of warranty, and this thing has less than 200 miles on it. 200 miles, people. Anybody out there that had this issue, cars from 1955 to 1964 have this exact same bearing. But then I get looking at it, and this is going to be difficult, but there's a case of the weeble wobbles here. And you can see the inner seal here, but when I move this, it's hard to see on camera, but when I move this, I can weeble wobble this bearing and open up a gap between the bearing seal surface and the seal itself. So if any oil got in there, it would just shoot past there, dilute the grease that's in there, and shit out the other side. And that's what's happening here. So if there's any form of pressure, and everything's clear, like I said, I've taken this differential apart before. I've explained that, I believe, in a previous video. But everything's good. The differential vent's clear. Everything's good. I've pulled it out and checked it. I can blow on it, blow through it. It's fine. There's no reason for this to continue occurring. And this is not one of these items that I can simply press off. I have to cut this off. This is a destructive thing. So where do you stand in the warranty world? I have the bearing here, and this is what it is. It's an SKF bearing. It's offshored, unfortunately. You can see that. RW607BR. Yeah, I know that part number by heart. I've done this job, well, 6 times. This is I've cut them off, you know, and I can't find any inherent damage on the inside of the seal or anything, other than the weeble wobble that all of them exhibit after this very limited use. Like, this is pathetic. When you put the new bearing on, there's no weeble wobble. So I'm going to be doing a video of that as well. I'm going to pass this on to the supplier, but what are they going to do? You know, the manufacturer is not going to, I don't know, it's going to be so the process of removing a bearing like this off of this situation is like a Ford 9-inch. It's destructive. What are they going to learn from this? And that's my problem. I'm a mechanic. I try to learn from the failed part and figure out what the hell's going on prior to making a repair so this doesn't occur again. Well, I'm at a loss here. Come on. If there's anybody that's had this problem, please let me know. I'm pretty limited as far as supply. This is the only bearings that I can get out of any supplier where I'm at. I'm in the interior of British Columbia. They're in stock at all the parts suppliers. They're not hard to get. I got this overnight, and here we are. I bought 2 just because I don't know if I'm going to have this problem again. I'm going to throw it in the trunk and have it there, because this thing's tight. Like, it's shitty. And there's issue here. It wasn't like that when I put it on. There's no installation issues. It's pressed on with a tool that I made specifically to go on the press. So, you know, I can't fault myself. I will gladly take blame at any time if I've made a mistake, but this is repetitive problem. This is bad. Anyway, I'm sorry to complain about this, guys, but I would like to know if anybody else is having this issue. These differentials were built from 1955 to 1964, and that's the generation. This is a sealed bearing, and the housing itself doesn't carry enough oil to travel up the axle tube. So the only way this occurs is when you're going around a corner and a little bit of oil stays up in the tube, and this little weeble wobble happens, and if there's any pressurization, that's the only thing I can think of that would get through this seal, but this shouldn't happen at all. This is a lip seal to make oil or retain the grease inside and keep oil from going in. So yeah, I'm at a loss here. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will cut it off and see what it looks like on the inside. The previous ones that I cut off were terrible. They were obviously a dual roll bearing, or sorry, there's two. It's a two race bearing in here. I believe it was. I feel stupid to say that. But we'll cut it off and explain it again. But there was a plastic cage. I wasn't impressed with that, and the lubrication quality is pathetic. Like this grease here, I know it's now diluted, but it was pathetic to say the least. There was hardly anything in it. Don't know what else to say here. Forced planned obsolescence. They want you to put a 9-inch in this. I don't know. Anyway, that's where we're at here. We'll go at it again and get this thing back on the road. And replace the brake shoes that are saturated in oil for a third time. This is very frustrating, SKF. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.